All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Lisa Brearley. Welcome to our episode 12 of Soulmates and Suitcases. This is my husband, Scott. We are excited to be able to do this together, start and continue amazing conversations. And we have Lynette Jakovich with us today. You may recognize her. We had her on our episode number 5, where we got to learn a little more about Lynette and her passion in life. I know on your Facebook, Lynette, it says that you are an additive, I need to get the right words, additive avoidance coach. And I know we kind of said you were a food coach last time. However, both are quite precise, I believe. And when I hear from you, I can see the passion in the learning about food additives. And when we learn about those, we can better our health. So welcome, Lynette, to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started this whole journey as an additive avoidance coach.
Thank you, Lisa and Scott. Nice to be here again. I've always been interested in food. Food's always been my passion, and eating good food, wholesome food, watching what I eat. And I began to investigate more into it when I had two grandchildren who are now 6 and 3, born with autism, different spectrums of autism. And then I began to learn more and more people with autism. And I had lots of friends who had MSD, multineuron, and they passed away. I think, why are all these diseases so prevalent now, all around the world, not just here in Australia, but everywhere? And the more I investigated, the more, and now doctors and all these scientists are talking about this now and saying, what is it? It's a lot to do with that, and it's a lot to do with immunization as well. So I'm thinking, I think I've got to investigate this and why, and then it became looking what's in our food. That got me more intrigued, and the more I dived in, the more I enjoyed it, the more I wanted to find out and get to the bottom of it, and find out what's the difference between different brands, or it might be the same brand but under a different packaging, and they just make a better quality and a not so good quality. And if you read the labels and the ingredients, you find out which is a better quality one, the one with the less additives, less sugar, those sort of things in your products. And they're out there. You just have to make better choices. So I wanted to educate people and try and get people to know more about this. And the more I speak to people, the more they are doing it and they're very interested in it. A lot of people don't know everything about it and are so intrigued. So it just got me more into listening to doctors and specialists and podcasts and reading a lot of books and things like that. So yeah, and I love it. I love all this intrigue stuff and finding out, and I go, God, how dare they do this? But
I can definitely tell from your posts that you make on your Facebook site that yes, you are very passionate and very informative and do a lot of research. Yeah, reading labels, that's a big thing. And I think we reviewed that a little bit last time, but I know for ourselves, and this is one of the reasons why we have you on our show, is to kind of open up that conversation of what are we eating, and are we really reading the labels? And you had mentioned autism, and Scott was recently diagnosed with ADHD. So that's another, I suppose, reason why we do look at those more closely.
yeah, yeah, you have to really look at your labels, especially people like yourself, Scott, and my grandchildren. What's in your food and what are you eating? Because a lot of those things can exacerbate these conditions, and like your colors, your sugars, or I should say the man-made sugars, those sort of things. And they use them because they're so cheap and they're like 200 times sweeter than normal sugar. So it's profits over health. And that's what we have to look after ourselves, because they are not there to look after us. And if we don't choose better products, and then manufacturers will start making better products if we choose what we want and not what they tell us to want. And it's like reading labels and know what they mean is healthy, which comes under a huge banner, and manufacturers do not have to stipulate what's in the product when they say healthy. It could be anything in there, and that's a hidden what's the word that's hidden behind that label, that name of healthy, so they can so it's up to us to find out what's in it. And the only way you're going to do is read your labels and know what that means, and don't believe what's written on the front of the packaging, because that's there to get your attention and make you buy it.
Exactly. So I'm very curious, Lynette, what's kind of your personal relationship with food? Like how has this evolved over the years for you?
Um, well, I've always eaten healthy. Um, I don't eat fast foods. Once in a blue moon, if the family gets something, then I'll eat it. But it's evolved because I don't Hungry Jacks and McDonald's and all that crap and stuff like that. I don't go into that because I know there's so much sugar in there, so much additives, there's so many things that aren't real. Like this plastic cheese, there's all sorts of things that aren't real, and you wonder how much of it is real, and those sort of things. And if people just went back to basics, God's food, which is your fruit and your veggies, and eat more of that, all your plants, your herbs and things like that, we would be much healthier, you know?
Definitely.
And I think we're just getting lazy and we want a fast food, and people don't look at their health until it's too late, and I see it all the time. And you see it in children in hospitals, and why children getting so sick. We have to look after them. We have to feed them while their bodies are young, so they will develop um, properly, develop stronger, and learn. Because I know people that teach their kids right from small what's about foods that are good and foods that are bad, and they never eat fast foods. They never eat man-made products, like your chips and stuff like there. There's so many chemicals in foods today that are there to make you addictive to it, right? It's like cigarettes. In cigarettes now, there's 16 different ingredients to make you addictive to it. You're not addictive to nicotine. Nicotine's got nothing to do with it. It's all the additives they put in the cigarettes to make you addictive. And the same as the foods, the manufacturers get scientists to what are ingredients to make you addictive, and they put all these concoctions together, and you don't know how many of those ingredients are in there. It doesn't say on the label, that's the only thing. But it just makes you tempted, like your chips and all that sort of stuff. And even the packaging, the plastic packaging, so you can put that in the microwave, has to have an additive or something in it to make it not burn. So again, you're looking at that. So, and the more stuff they put in our foods, the more addictive you're going to be, and the worse you are. So you need to choose the less ingredients in your popcorn, like plain popcorn, not this caramelized and all this other sort of stuff.
Yes,
Um,
and for many starting out, this can feel like an overwhelming thing. So I do suggest they go to your site because you simplify a lot of things, like even the understanding about the cigarettes, for example. But
yeah.
yeah.
What kind of mindset and change and behavior do you need, like just in the beginning, like not full out, but just baby steps?
Mindset change. Probably eat healthy. Go to eat healthy, and don't believe when they say on the labels. Go back to basics. Eat your fruit and eat your veggies and cook from scratch. Don't always rely on things made up, because to make them up, they've got additives in them. So go back to your basics, if you want to stay healthy and keep away from the doctors. Because today, if you need to go and see specialists, you're waiting 2 or 3 months, and they cost you an arm and a leg, I can tell you that. But do we want to go down the way? So keep away from that by eating wholesome, nutritious food.
Yes,
Yeah.
food is our medicine. That is a big
Yes.
understanding I know that I've come to realize over the last few years. And planning also is another part of it as well. And understanding that you can make any choices. I know when we were traveling, we traveled across North America on a motorcycle, and of course sometimes options weren't always there, but a simple choice, even though it might not be the best, but a simple choice that we made was to get a lettuce wrapped burger. And it might not be like woohoo, but it helps. We know it helps our mind, helps our body. And another simple choice, just stop at the local grocery store and get boiled eggs, for example, like something that is a kind of a whole thing. It may have some preservative in it because it has to last, but there are choices, better choices. At least that's maybe the baby step that Scott was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what would you say are some like simple swaps maybe that people can make to help their diet?
What could you swap? What's your fats? Good fats are good for you. Like if you've got your avocado, your olive oil, keep away from the vegetable oil because it's all sorts of bad things in there. Most of your seed oils are no good for you. What else could you swap? You could swap with plain food. Don't we go for the chips and the all the new biscuits and stuff like that, but start going for the ones that are better for you with the least amount of additives in there. You could also swap your salt, go for cooking salt. Table salt is one of the worst ones you could get. So use your cooking salt, your what do you call it? Sea salt, your pink Himalayan salt, those sort of salts are good for you. What else? As I said, fats, butter, sugars, go for ones with the least amount of sugar in them. Watch you don't have those artificial sweeteners in them. So again, read your labels. But when you go to the supermarket, you can look at, let's say, oils, and you can look at, or biscuits, or whatever you choose. There are better quality and not so good quality. So just look at what's in them. And you've got apps today that tell you, if you don't know what's in it, what it means, you can look up the number and the app will tell you exactly what it is, what's in it, so you can have a read of it. I know it might take time, but once you learn and you know what brands to get, you will shop that one all the time.
Yeah.
So it's just hard in the beginning, but there's so many choices out there, so much, and it's confusing, and I understand that, but just spending that little bit more extra time and swap one thing at a time when you're going shopping, when you finish something, and try and make from scratch. You know, we buy too many these condiments and those sort of things, and a lot of those have too many additives in them. And the additives aren't the good ones. If you've got good additives, that's okay, but there's a lot of bad additives.
Yes, and that once in a while you use something that's off, or like you said, a condiment or something is not maybe the big deal. It's the long-term use of these
Yes.
items, right?
Yes.
That's what we're looking at. Now, do you ever look at things that we drink? Is that something you also look at? Have you inquired in?
I do. Especially in children's drinks too. I'm amazed of how much sugar they can put in children's drinks, and the other additives. And there's like this. It says fruit drink, but there's very little fruit in those drinks, and it's reconstituted. And to me, you should be looking after your children, but they're not. Again, it's profits over health, and I find it hard to believe that governments don't band down on this and make manufacturers do the right thing. But there's such a big opening that they can do what they want in many cases.
Yes, that really hits my heart, by the way, that comment of children and the high sugar drinks. Many of you may know or not know I'm a teacher. And so a teacher with young kids, kindergarten, grade 1, 2, and watching kids come to school with a Tetra box, little small Tetra box with 28 grams of sugar in it that they consume with some other sweet at, recess break or whatever. And it blows my mind away. I would love to start a crusade to end those very highly concentrated sugar drinks.
Yeah, 4 grams of sugar in it is 1 teaspoon. So you think how much sugar is actually in there. And it's not the proper sugar, it'll be the other sugar, the man-made sugars, which are 200 times sweeter.
Yeah,
So,
it's hard to watch them drink it. I know as a teacher, I promoted having water all the time on their desks, and they could eat lettuce all day or vegetables all day on their desk as grade 1s. It was great. The parents were surprised how many vegetables they ate. It was great. Yeah.
I also know for me, like I'm new at eating proper. In the last 4-ish years, I got diabetes, and like in the beginning, talking about baby steps, it was like, oh my, I'm doomed. And in the beginning, it was a little bit like doomed because it was like I didn't know how to cook. I had to learn how to recook. And however, though, the flavors when we use natural stuff, I've found just go poof, and like it tastes way better once you learn how to. And we're still, excuse me, we're still learning. And I hope we're always learning how to cook better because we had a friend, Lisa's friend came and she cooked us a whole bunch of authentic Indian food and like the authentic way, and it was with good stuff because she's kind of like you. And man, it was mouth watering, and even the hot spice wasn't even that hot because there was flavors.
Yeah.
And I don't know, so like part of the reason I talk about that is to encourage people that it's not all, just don't shut it out. It can be better actually.
Yeah. You think spices have been around since before Marco Polo? How many hundreds of years ago was that? They used to trade in spices, you know?
Yeah.
They were like gold. So why aren't we using them more today? Our culture, you know, I know the Indians and Asians and that use them and other, but we're not using them. And they're so good for you, like you say, and make the food so tasty. You don't need all this other, I call it crap, all that other rubbish, you know? Yeah, or
Yeah,
MSG,
exactly.
anything like that.
So with that awareness, what are some kind of underrated foods that maybe people can try, give it a go?
What would you say? Underrated foods. Well, I like the nightshade family foods, which are very good for you. You've got your eggplant, you've got your bell peppers, if you like bell peppers. I love them. And you've got your zucchini, your cauliflower, those sort of things. But here's a tip for you. I was listening to a few doctors, specialists in this field, were talking about nicotine. Nicotine is in the nightshade family vegetables. And
Oh,
nicotine is very good for you if you've got any underlying illnesses. Okay, it really helps with them. So don't avoid them. And it's not the nicotine in the cigarettes that we've been brainwashed to believe that it's addictive. It's not. It's the 16 other chemicals that they put in there to make it addictive. Same as what they put in your these man-made products. So nicotine is good for you, but we're not told that, and we're just learning all about that now, and that fascinates me. So, and today there's no reason why we can't make better choices. There's so many cooking shows on TV, and you can Google any recipe, and you'll come up with 100 different versions of it. You know, cook it. You know, it's not hard to follow a recipe. Really, go the basics. You know. What else? All those sort of foods. I love growing my own stuff in the garden here, bits and pieces of stuff. And I think fruit veggies, and I go and look after it. And I think go and pick something. Even your parsley, I toss my parsley, bake it up, and put it in salads and eat it because that's so good for you. And we just underestimate that and just put it like as a garnish. But I cook with it as well. Put it in my foods, but I also put it in my salads. You know, eat your greens. Don't neglect your greens because they're the most healthiest for you. Any sort of greens, stick to those as well.
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. It's funny, like I know a lot of people, like I said, it can feel overwhelming. But one thing I'm learning how to do is, things I just bought at the grocery store. Maybe I've cut off like the green onion or I've cut the top of the bok choy and I still have the bottom with the root. I replant it. So it's kind of fun to just go out into your garden and go, ah, look, something's growing. I'm going to cut it off and put it in my salad tonight. So it's great, simple.
When I buy spring onions, I put it in a glass, not a glass. I keep a container, not drinking glass, but a glass container, and I put water in it, and then just put a plastic bag, that one of those disposable bags, just over the top, and stick in your fridge. It will stay for a week or whatever.
It's
Yeah,
perfect. It's
yeah,
great. And like you mentioned, there's the cooking shows, you can Google anything. And with AI these days, like you
yeah.
could pretty much tell AI, I have these 10 items in my house. What can I make with them? So yeah, there's no reason why we cannot cook
And
healthier.
and you were saying like recipes are easy to follow. However, I'm a little bit of a rebel, and for some reason, I'll get a recipe, but I'll actually just twist it a little bit and use what, because it's like just a starting point.
Perfect, perfect. That's what you do. If you don't have something, leave it out, improvise, put something else in. You know, you might not like everything in that recipe, but that's that person's version of it. You make your version of it.
Yeah.
And why there's many versions, a chef will use someone else's recipe, change it, and it becomes their recipe. Right? You can't use exactly the same. So yeah, by all means, that's great. That's a good thinker.
Yeah, it is good.
Well
One
yeah.
one little piece of advice, because it sounds like you have a garden outside your window as you look at it that way. And I'm assuming that you use lots of your vegetables from your garden. And I'm not sure if you do what I do, but this is a tip from me. Whenever I am done using, I've cut up vegetables, or maybe vegetables have gone bad for some reason in my fridge. I keep a bag in my freezer, and I put all the scraps in a bag and freeze it. So when I'm ready, along with meat bones as well. So when I'm ready, I cook it and boil it and make a broth out of it. And so I just did that last night and made amazing soup for my breakfast. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of maybe doing something different in your life, right? Having supper for breakfast, or something new to spice up a shift in what you eat.
And it's funny, as soon as she says that, my bells and whistles go off. You're not supposed to do that. However, in the bad eating days, if I had a box of pizza, I would eat 3 pieces of pizza for breakfast. But yet, to eat good soup, I wouldn't like.
Yeah. Challenging your norms.
Yeah, challenging the norm of what your
Yeah.
brain thinks.
Yeah, we've been brainwashed to eat cereal for breakfast, but where you are, I know that no such thing. It's soup or noodles or whatever, and that's the best thing, you know. Get away with the cereals, which are full of sugar, full of wheat. If people can't have wheat, you've got that problem. But it's bad for you. What you're doing is, and where you are, and other nations, it's so healthy to eat that in the morning. Who says? And there's a thing that I'll listen to someone, eat your dinner for breakfast.
Eat your what? Sorry?
Dinner for breakfast. So what you have for dinner, eat for breakfast. Don't have the
Oh.
cereal, eat your dinner for breakfast.
Perfect.
If you've got
Exactly.
leftovers for dinner, have them for breakfast. You
Yeah.
know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So understanding that maybe if you want to have some different health results, it's to start some new habits, just to test things out, right?
How about even like the old myth that because for me, I remember people used to stress cholesterol, worrying about high cholesterol. And for me, it seemed like the people that worried about high cholesterol were the ones that got high cholesterol.
Your body needs cholesterol. We all have cholesterol. So that's, again, we've been brainwashed to say we watch the cholesterol, because cholesterol is all through us. And if it wasn't, we wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
So we all need cholesterol in us.
And fats.
Yes, and fats. Yes.
Healthy fats.
Yeah. The good fats, the healthy fats. What the salt, we've been told not to have too much salt, but our body needs salt. And now I heard we're supposed to have about 400 milligrams, 4,000 milligrams of salt per day, you know. Whereas I was listening to the World Health Organization and the FDA, which is in the USA, they both have different versions of how much salt you can have. One's 3,000 and one's 1,500 milligrams. So why aren't they both the same? You know?
Yes, there is so much information out there, and we're learning all the time, all the time.
So would you kind of say trust your body and your instincts a little bit as well?
Yes, definitely. We know what we can eat. Like some people can't have wheat and can't have like I've got no friends and relations that can't have MSG. Well, that's but not really good for you anyway. So those sort of things. So that when you know you've had something, you're really careful of it. And me, I can't eat too much bread. I don't eat, but now and then I'll have like pizza or a slice of bread once in a blue moon, and I can have that. But if I eat too much of it, I get pain straight away. And I know what it is. And I go, oh, gee, it was so good, so I ate a bit more. But see, that's the wrong thing to do. So, yeah, so when we go to, my son cooks proper pizzas, but I have more of the chicken than chicken wings and stuff that he cooks, and a couple of pieces of pizza, but I don't go overboard. But I
Exactly.
think you've got to look after your body.
Exactly.
I know we're running out of time, but after you've been eating healthy for a while, does your body kind of revolt when you put garbage in it?
Yes, just like that, yeah,
Yeah.
because now, and sugar, and I can't have too much anything really sweet. And if I say to someone, oh, this is sweet, and they go, no, it's not. I said, well, it is to me because I'm used to not having sugar. And
Yeah.
this morning, I went to the health shop, and my daughter and I, on the way back, we stopped and we got a muffin. And she goes, this reminds me of your cooking, Mum. It's not very sweet. It was savoury, but to me it was perfect. You know, it had berries in it, which gave it the sweetness. And if I want sweetness, extra sweetness, I'll put a syrup in there, which is natural, honey. Use those sort of things and cut out some of your sugar. You
Yeah,
know, to me,
exactly.
it was perfect. So my body can't take it anymore because I'm used to not having it. You know, and
Exactly.
people that say I can eat a whole bar of chocolate or a whole packet of biscuits. I'm lucky if I can have one little bite. You know, or one block of chocolate I can have, but people have because they're used to that. But you've trained your body because you don't want that, and you go, no, I'm not having that, and you train your body. And then when you do say, I'm just going to try that, you go, no, I know I can't have it, which is good.
Yeah,
Which is good.
exactly. And we'd like to remind our viewers and listeners, it takes time. And one
Yeah.
big thing that we learned, that I learned over the last few years, be gentle on yourself. But you know, it is sometimes baby steps because it can be overwhelming for people to make like huge changes, but the long-term effects are definitely a payoff for sure.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, Lee, because you're a teacher, do you see kids at school, I don't, bringing all sorts of things to school and not anything homemade, you know, like proper food? And I know people used to pack all sorts of packets of this and packet of that to their kids for school and not give them things that are homemade, you know, or buy from the canteen that's good food.
Well, it's
So
definitely changed. That has definitely changed over the years, and it does, of course, come down to where you live, like the economics and what people can afford and that sort of thing. I was very fortunate to be work in a fairly affluent area, so they had no problem sending the veggies, the healthy lunches, and water bottles. So, however, we all can make healthier choices. For many, it seems very difficult. However, we can, but. Thank you, Lynette, today. Oh my goodness, this was a great conversation. And so, Lynette, if anyone wants to connect with you, reach out to you, find out more, where can they find you?
you can find me on my Facebook page. It goes under Lynette May Jakovich and Additive Avoidance for Parents. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So if you want to know more about additives, and I think I would like everyone to just take a bit more time when they go shopping and just check, read labels and check, and just don't look at the front of it, or pick your normal products, what you normally pick. Try something, a different brand. Yeah, I'm just astounded by the different brands and what the good stuff is, and you've got the really, really bad stuff. And I go, how can I make this when I can make this? You know, why isn't everyone making good stuff? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect tip. And if you're shopping with your kids, make it fun.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you, Lynette. And of course, we never did establish you are in, tell us where exactly.
I'm in Perth, Western Australia.
In Australia. Yeah. So it's so nice to talk globally. We are in Thailand right now. So we would like to say thank you very much. And we'll say it in Thai. Kapun ka.
Thank you very much to both of you.
Rest of our life.